with more on all that's in front of the president now in his less than 2 months left in office. Jamie Metzl, a senior fellow with the Atlantic Council and the former executive vice president of the Asia Society. He's also a former staffer in the Bill Clinton administration. And there's more. The author of Super Convergence, How the Genetics, Biotech, and AI Revolutions Will Transform Our Lives, Work, and World. Welcome to you, Jamie.
Thank you, Fred.
All right, let's talk about President Biden there in Lima, Peru. He's, almost out the door at the White House, but he is, meeting with President Xi Jinping. And of course, the relationship he has with Xi is very different than that of the incoming President Trump's relationship with Xi. So for Biden, what will be the goal today? What's the importance of him meeting with Xi?
Well, Joe Biden is sadly a very tragic figure, excuse me, at this point of his career. He's like an aging King Lear at the end of the play. And so the message that Biden is trying to deliver, not just to Xi, but also to our allies, is one of continuity. With Xi, we're going to stay tough on China. And there's all kinds of things that China is doing that are totally unacceptable to the United States. But there's a continuity in the policies of tough on China from the first Trump administration, the Biden administration, and now the next, Trump administration. But for everybody else, America's allies are even more concerned than our adversaries. For China, for Russia, I think in their heart of hearts, the Trump victory is kind of a win for them. But for our allies, there is deep concern about how President Trump is going to position himself. And so President Biden is representing an America that is familiar to many of us. It's the America of FDR, of President Eisenhower, President Truman, of Ronald Reagan even. And so that is the message. Nobody is going to think that President Biden is carrying the water for anything really relevant for the future of our country. But America is still here. President Biden is still the president of the United States, and America is going to play a role in the future of all of these countries and our world.
Yeah, and when you look at those pictures of, Biden and Xi, I mean, there does seem to be a level of comfort just in seeing these two, veteran leaders. But regardless of whatever personal connections Joe Biden has with Xi Jinping, there are diplomatic strains to address, right? Concerns over Taiwan, allegations of China spying, add to all of that the uncertainty posed by the return of Donald Trump. What do you imagine Xi and Biden will actually talk about?
So Xi and Biden have a long relationship, but this is a very adversarial relationship. China is aggressively harming not just the interest of the United States, but the interest of the world. It's basically declared war on America's treaty ally of the Philippines in the South China Sea. It's working to encircle Taiwan. It's doing everything to support the Russians in Ukraine. But arming them. It's hacked into America's communication system. So it's not the case that this is some kind of lovey-dovey relationship. President Biden and the Biden administration has been very, very tough on China. But the Biden administration has been careful to try to have some kind of continuity with that relationship. And so now there's just an unknown about what is going to be the next phase of U.S.-China relations. And there are certainly people in the United States who are saying, oh, great, the new incoming Trump administration is going to be even tougher on China than the Biden administration, which was very tough. But from the perspective of most of the world, the conflicts with China, what's happening with Iran, what's happening with Russia and in Ukraine, it's all kind of connected. And so if President Trump negotiates the kind of surrender to Putin as he negotiated as a surrender to the Taliban, in the name of ending this conflict, everybody around the world, especially our adversaries, are going to look at that and say, hey, maybe we have freer reign, the Chinese freer reign with Taiwan, the North Koreans, the Iranians. And so that's why it's really important, not just for President Biden to say, hey, there's continuity with America, but for President Trump and the incoming Trump administration to say, we are going to stand with all of our allies and partners. And they're making maybe some strong messages with regard to China and Iran, but the seeming weakness in the face of Russia isn't just about Russia and Ukraine. It's about America's interests and the world's interests more generally.
All right. Jamie Metzl, so glad you could be with us. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Fred.
Coming up.